Okay, so I'm going to attempt to demonstrate Helen Frankenthaler's method of painting called soak stain. What I've done is I've taped down a piece of cotton fabric and I've taped it on top of a piece of watercolor paper because as the paint soaks through, some of it's going to go onto the watercolor paper and I'm going to get another painting. So I like things where you get at least two for one. So I have another thing I can play with. And I'm going to, not doing this very well here, create a little divide just to show some different techniques. Now in these little trays, and you could do it in a little jar, but I've taken, you know, regular golden acrylic paint and I've really thinned it down. Okay, made it kind of fluid there. Okay, now I'm spraying this with water. I forgot my big paintbrush to do that. Here, wetting. So I'm going to play with the difference between wetting the fabric and pouring some paint and then pouring some paint on an area that is not wet. See what the difference is. Okay, so it's letting paint do what paint wants to do. And I was surprised in doing this actually how much control I actually do have. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to draw those lines. So I just tip the corner of this tray and I dragged across. Oops. Okay, another thing you can do, this is the high flow golden acrylic, and because it comes in a squeeze bottle, I can just draw directly with that and get a much more defined line. So if the fabric is not wet, you've got, I think you have greater control. Looks like
Laura,
yeah.
Is there a lot of difference between that high flow paint and the acrylic that you mixed with a lot of water to thin down?
You know, it's really hard to put my finger on. There is a difference, and I cannot really tell you what that is exactly. It feels like a stain. I don't know any other way to describe it than that.
The high flow feels like a stain?
Yeah, yeah.
I think there is some difference.
There is a difference. I can't really put my finger on it.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm feeling, but I couldn't figure it out either.
Okay, so now I'm just taking some of this paint and with my angled brush, drawing marks. I can also, some of this stain, look, I can pull this out. I can manipulate it this way. No, it's highly concentrated, Peggy. Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is. Okay, now I'm just trying different things. Now, this is an acrylic fluorescent Liquitex gouache, and it comes in a squeeze bottle too. Now, it's not going to, I think it's going to be more raised, but I'm going to try and put it in the wet paint and see. I want to see if it spreads a little. So again, this is trial and error. You're doing little tests. You know, I think what it is, Peggy, there's something in the fluid acrylic, like a medium or something that extends it, that makes it, the word isn't exactly thinner, but like in here, there's something in this paint that makes it thicker. See, it's not spreading out. It's just sitting there on the surface. Over time, I think it'll spread a little bit.
Yeah, I think that the high flow liquid acrylic that comes in that little squeeze bottle is a different critter.
It is, but I don't know what's in the critter.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, so I could play with, like, you know, Peggy made her top. If she used something thicker like this, she'd have these more defined and contained lines. In contrast to this. So when you add water, the paint's going to lighten up. This is the same color as this. No water. It's much more concentrated. And I think usually the paint will bleed out or bleed right up to, yeah, another color, and it'll stop right there. It's amazing. It just really sits on the surface. I would think it would absorb much quicker. So I could continue doing this and get all these circle shapes in a pretty controlled manner. Okay, so that's going to bleed in there. That's kind of cool. Yeah, this paint really isn't moving at all. Dropping a little high flow in there, see what it does. Add a little water and see if that, oh, here we go. Then you could hit it with a spray bottle and that will sort of activate there. Okay. When I hit these more concentrated areas of the high flow, look how it activates the paint. But this is where you want to be a little bit careful. Otherwise, it's going to turn to mud. Okay, was there a question?
It looks beautiful.
Well, thank you. And it's very, all I can say is it's relaxing. Okay, now I'm just painting on there. You could do that too instead of pouring. Paint. That would give you more controlled shapes. So here, let's do this. Okay, so that's a little more controlled, right? Do little dots. So I was surprised at how much control you actually have. Okay, now I'm going to reveal this so you can see what's below. Oh, I didn't do any comb tool. Okay, I'll just do just a little bit. Okay. Now the big reveal. I think what's so appealing about Helen Frankenthaler's soak stain method is the color is so intense, and it just hasn't been overworked. It is what it is. Okay, so that's what's underneath, and I could use that for something. Now, hang on, I've got to figure out what to do with this wet mess I've got here.